Hiya and welcome to the Red Men TV. Liverpool won a game of football on the weekend. However, it is a massive week. Real Madrid are up next. It is the uncensored match build-up. I'm delighted to be joined by Ben and Chris for this one. And yeah, games just don't get much bigger. Weeks just don't get much bigger, Ben. Real Madrid, we knew as soon as the draw was happening, we were going to get Trent Alexander-Arnold. He returns back to Anfield. That's where I'm going to start. What do you reckon the reception is going to be like? Because if it's down to me, if I see absolutely anyone clapping him, I might knock you out myself. He is a rival player coming to beat Liverpool, and I still don't like the way he left. So for me, I can't wait to, get booing.
I mean, if he plays, then it's going to be really hostile for him.
He's already done an interview, so he's got to play now. Come on.
I mean, the interview is really interesting because obviously it's funny because obviously nobody likes the way he left, but I think at the moment we're just missing him as a player. The most, but at the same time Madrid haven't really gained him because he's been injured. He hasn't really jumped onto the scene there either, but in that interview there is no air of he regrets anything. There isn't any of that. He's just got that kind of arrogance about him, even more so. He's chatting about flying barbers over to Madrid. So he's just not interested in kind of that romance. And he's gone on. He's done the decent thing and said he won't score and all that. And even just all that chat, it just comes across as he is up for it. He is ready to play, and he's relishing in this. Whether or not he plays, I don't know, because Valverde's been playing at right back and has been playing quite well.
One of my favourite players.
But he doesn't get any minutes at the weekend. So in a way, it is set up for him to maybe come in.
It is. Chris, what are you expecting, and what would you do if you were inside that ground and he steps on a football pitch?
Well, I will be. I'll be in the Anfield Road end. So, yes. First of all, because he hasn't actually played since they played Marseille in the Champions League, because he started that and did his hamstring. So he hasn't actually played since then. So that will be interesting in itself. But I just think anyone of a Liverpool persuasion in that ground on Tuesday, just look at how, I know we go back a couple of years here, but how Coutinho and Suarez were welcomed back in that semi-final against Barcelona. There was if you watched that game and didn't know they had played for Liverpool, you would have had no sense of any Liverpool emotion towards them. Before the game, after the game, grateful for what they did for the football club. During that 90 minutes, nah. But I agree with what you say as well, in terms of maybe people still, quite rightly so, are angry at the way he left. I, for one, am not a fan of the way he left. And as he is a Real Madrid player, I don't think the respect should be there from the crowd or the players.
All bets are off now, right? At the end of last season, there was this huge discourse around once it became very apparent that he wasn't going to sign a new contract. Games against Arsenal and Crystal Palace.
United, he absolutely had a nightmare of in January when they were about to bid for him as well.
That was a performance issue, and that obviously that performance was rightly criticised. I'm talking about then after the league was won, he comes on against Arsenal and all that. Personally, that didn't sit comfortably for me at the time, but now that is all gone. It's out the window.
But that didn't sit comfortable because he was in a red shirt.
Because he's in a red shirt,
he's now no longer in a red shirt.
And now he does not have that protection around him. He is a Real Madrid player. He's an away player, and he will be treated as such. Yeah,
I certainly hope so, and I'm hoping that makes the crowd even more intense. Because let's be honest, Anfield under the lights in the Champions League is the best atmospheres. But especially when you're going up against Real Madrid, they have played 11 in the league alone. They've won 10. The 5 points clear of Barcelona, Chris. They've won 6 on the spin since a 5-2 loss to Atletico, which is their only loss of the entire season. They are 3 wins from 3 in the Champions League, defeating Marseille, like you said, Karat, I'm going to say, and also Juve. So, look, it's one of the biggest tests in world football. It might be the main boss, Real Madrid in the Champions League. That just might be the main boss that you'll ever come up against. Liverpool are going to need to have some arrogance about themselves. We're not going to be, we can't give them kind of, a welcoming to Anfield. We need to hit them in the first minute, and we need to lay one on them, and we need to let them know we're here. And let's hope we can do that. What do you think Liverpool are going to have to impose of themselves on this game to get anything out of it.
I'd love it to be copy and paste from last year, really, because last year Liverpool were aggressive, they were front-footed, did not give Real Madrid any space on the ball at all, should have scored 3 or 4 before McAllister opened the scoring, and it was just such a really aggressive showing from the whole team. So much so, I know we all talk about Conor Bradley's challenge on Mbappe, and that was, outside of goals, that was genuinely one of the best moments I've ever experienced inside Anfield. But the fact is, he was getting forward, had a good head save by Courtois, and just all round the team as a whole, you understand what it means. You really do understand what it means. And playing for Liverpool's massive anyway, but in these kind of games, I think the hurt that Real Madrid have caused Liverpool over the last couple of years, there's still players in this squad that have experienced that hurt. I'm sure we'll be conveying that hurt over to the ones that haven't experienced it. And I think within the squad as well, we mentioned Trent Alexander-Arnold, but that will be, I'll be amazed if that's not a point of discussion amongst any of the squad today, in terms of just going into the game. For one, like, Cody Gakpo has been criticised at times this year for maybe not linking with the fullback, not being as good as he could on the left wing. I'd love to see him just get the ball and just run at Trent Alexander-Arnold if he plays tomorrow, because then it's a bit of just seeing if he can. I know we talk about the defensive side of his game enough here, but again, just having a go at him and making him defend and seeing what he's up to, and after a long time back as well. So I think Liverpool as a whole, it's got to be an aggressive night. I know it's a league phase game, and look, last year obviously the league phase game, Liverpool finished top and then ultimately go out to PSG. But these games do matter because Liverpool aren't in a stronger position as they were last year so far in the league phase.
And Real Madrid are a totally different team to what they were last year. Real Madrid last season, for the first time in years, went trophyless. Ancelotti probably stayed on a year longer than he should have done. He probably should have walked away after winning the Champions League against Dortmund. They had more injuries. They had the Mbappe thing. He'd come in and he didn't quite hit the ground running. He's currently one of the best players in La Liga. He's scoring
in the world.
Yeah. Like, he's scoring pretty much every week. They've Alonso has clearly come in and brought kind of that freshness to the team. I think that was a good decision at that point for them. So they are very much the if you like, just in terms of the mentality or kind of the feeling around the clubs at the moment, it is kind of the opposite of where we were 12 months ago. But that doesn't mean that Liverpool can't go and win this game, Yeah.
Well, like you mentioned, there's a lot. It's already a massive game of football, but we've mentioned the Trent stuff. Xabi Alonso is back at Anfield as well. Xabi Alonso, who, let's be honest, a lot of people wanted him at Anfield, leading Liverpool. Last time he came to Liverpool was with a Leverkusen side, which, had Florian Wirtz in as well, who did get battered on the night. Luis Diaz had a field day up against them. So I reckon he'll be come back and wanting a point to prove. We already know he's not having a training session at Anfield because he said don't want all the cameras there. He's doing that at home. So I also think, even though it's already a massive game, Chris, there's little pieces to it that make it even bigger. The Trent stuff, Xabi Alonso being back at Anfield, and I do think he will be wanting to prove a point.
He's adapted as well, because I was really intrigued when Real appointed him. It felt like an obvious choice, but I was intrigued because at Leverkusen he lived and died by 3-4-3, and I just thought to myself when he got appointed, I was like, no way you're going to be able to go to Real Madrid and play 3 at the back. You're just not going to be able to. I don't know whether the hierarchy told him, no, you're not going to be able to do that, or whether he's taking the decision upon himself to just abandon that theory and go with 4 at the back. But he's clearly adapted it really well because of all the stats you pointed out. And the quality of Real Madrid, the players that they're getting in all over the place, even the newer figures, I know obviously if Alexander-Arnold plays or not, but I've been really impressed with Carreras at left fullback. Considering former Preston North End loanee, Manchester United youth 2-3 players. He's the
his goal the other day was an absolute
world. He's the Spanish David Beckham, basically. So former Preston loanee and United youth team player. But what he's done, he's got the team playing really well. Even like they've sometimes played 4-4-2, to be honest, and that is a bit of a throwback to days of old with teams across the continent. So it's really an exciting prospect in terms of him as well, and he probably will really think about that game last year, because Slot even pointed out in the post-match, he was like, I never thought Boniface was going to play left wing. I remember being on that ground thinking, why is Boniface left wing? Yeah. So surely Alonso won't do anything quite that radical this time around. But I'll be intrigued, certainly, because I don't think Bellingham didn't have his best night last year. Vinicius didn't play last year. I can't remember if he was injured or suspended. But he's unfortunately had previous against Liverpool, as we know. But ultimately, you're going up against some of the best players in the world, while also Liverpool also having some of the best players in the world in their squad.
Yeah, it's true, but staying on Real Madrid before we move to Liverpool more, they've got Mbappe, Bellingham, Vinny, Courtois, Valverde. I mean, that's just to name quite a few of them. They've still got the likes of Rodrigo, who sometimes is in the team, sometimes is out the team. They've got Brahim Diaz, who's playing unbelievable. Arda Güler's playing unbelievable for them. I mean, they come up with... there's a right mid that I cannot say the lad's name. I can't.
Mustastuono.
Thank you. Somehow they've plucked him out of thin air, and he's incredible. Yeah, they've just. I mean, you go through the squad list and you go world class, world class, world class, world class.
Even the centre halves. I mean, the plethora of centre halves they've got: Rudiger, Militao, Howson.
Yeah, it's a joke. I mean, Tuchemeni, a lad who we were linked with. It's an absolute joke. Camavinga, half of their squad's still mid-20s as well. It's an absolute joke of a team. But after winning each of their first 3 meetings with Real, Liverpool have claimed victory in only one of the last 9, and that was obviously at home. So, I mean, I don't want it to be, oh my God, how boss are Real Madrid, but how boss are Real Madrid in this competition? It is going to be such a tough game, even if it is at Anfield.
Yeah, absolutely. They've just got so many options, and it leads to, when you're talking about their team selection, they played a midfield 3, I think, of Güler, Tchouaméni and Bellingham at the weekend. Yep. But that could easily be Camavinga. It could easily be, Brahim Diaz.
Valverde could play in mid if he wants.
Valverde could play midfield if he wants to play Trent. They've just got so much flexibility. And obviously, it's easy to talk ourselves down because, Liverpool have quite a few options as well. And Liverpool are the champions of England. So, they're I'm sure Real Madrid TV somewhere in the middle of Madrid are also talking about all the, will Szoboszlai play or Florian Wirtz, and they'll be having similar conversations, but it just feels like at the moment Real Madrid in the Champions League in particular in years gone by have been notoriously slow starters, and then they've burst into life in the knockout rounds. This year it's like they're already at the peak of their powers, which is a scary thing.
It is, but Liverpool were also this, 12 months ago. We got to, later on down the line, came against PSG, and Liverpool weren't quite... PSG did the opposite. They were crap, and then they hit form right at the time that they needed to hit form. So let's hope that has got something to do with Liverpool this season. But we will move on to Liverpool now. We are recording this before the press conference because the press conference is madly at 3 p.m. today. So I can't give you an update on the likes of Alexander Isak or Curtis Jones. We'll find that in due course. But Ben, a big win at the weekend. It was possibly the most in control game. Look, I think Aston Villa still broke through us quite easily and found space quite easily. But for a little bit of, confidence, a clean sheet, a 2-0 win against an in-form Aston Villa who'd beat Manchester City the previous week, I'm really hoping that win can give us a little bit of a bounce and a little bit of confidence going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a very mature performance. I thought it helps when your top players sort of from last season actually play to the ability that you feel like you can. I thought McAllister looked a different player on Saturday. Yeah. I thought Mo Salah showed up, takes his chance really well. And, there is something to be said, as basic as it sounds, for those individuals being on it, and the Gravenberch being back from injury, just being able to lift the whole team. I thought Andy Robertson was brilliant. I think there's a big decision to be made at left back, to be honest, because Andy Robertson's played 180 minutes in the last week. So does he go again with Robbo? It's very, very difficult to make a case not to at the moment.
Especially
if it feels like
when,
he can go.
Like, if it was not a lesser team, but if it wasn't Manchester City on the weekend,
you
know, you could maybe tell them to go again and you get a rest on the weekend and it might be Kirkes. But the problem is they're both absolutely massive game. Real Madrid's more important because it's the first one and it's the next one. Yeah. But Manchester City's, I mean, that's massive as well. So he's got a really tough decision there to make. What I can tell you is, I mean, for me, Dominic Szoboszlai has been our player of the season. Both him and Virgil van Dijk have played every minute of Liverpool's Champions League campaign so far this season. Mm-hmm. Chris, they're both going to hopefully start if nothing happens in the next 24 hours. But, I mean, Dominic Szoboszlai, if Liverpool are to come out with anything in this game of football, I think the heart and soul of it will be from Dominic Szoboszlai, because that's just what he's done so far this season. Yeah,
he's been a leader. He's really stepped up. I think he's, in some ways, almost translated his Hungary performances to Liverpool in some ways. I think his goal and assist contributions, I think they're up on his last 2 seasons in all competitions at least. And I'm just really sensing a proper confidence from him. I like my centre midfielders to have a bit of arrogance as well. And I think he's got that, really. Yeah. I think he's got the ability to really grab the game by the scruff of the neck and take control of the ball and move it. And I think we saw at the weekend, most things that went well went through him. And he's become a really indispensable part of the team. Because when people talk about the midfield now, there is only one spot. Because it's Szoboszlai and Gravenberch plus McAllister, Jones or Wirtz. Mm-hmm. And I think Szoboszlai has done so well to establish himself in that, because in the summer, when people are talking about Florian Wirtz coming in, a lot of people were tuning their mind to say, well, Szoboszlai's time could be up, or Szoboszlai's minutes could drop, and if anything, he's made himself more important.
Yeah, and I think that's what leads to the early stage of the season, the Szoboszlai right-back experiment, because I think the manager is trying to figure out a way to get all these players in the team, and Szoboszlai played really well there against Arsenal, and then didn't quite hit the heights, you know, Galatasaray and other games that followed. So now, but then, because basically everybody noticed what you're losing from him in midfield when you don't have him there. Yeah. And in a time where Liverpool at times over the last few weeks have been criticised at times for a lack of leadership on the pitch, he has been one of the guys who has led by example, but also seems very vocal on the pitch as well in the middle of midfield. And it makes sense because he's the Hungary captain. So,
you know, he's got the leadership there. Are you concerned at all from a Liverpool perspective? Because, you know, we did lose 6 of the previous 7 before the Aston Villa game. I don't think Aston Villa actually targeted Liverpool's weaknesses that well, if I'm being honest. I don't think I saw many long balls, which, I mean, Slotters actively came out and said, you do this against us. Right now, I don't have a plan for that. Yeah. So are you slightly concerned that not just is this a different beast in terms of Real Madrid, but if they do try and target Liverpool's vulnerabilities, they may get joy? Or are you, from the weekend, do you see a much more improved side that can combat these weaknesses that people have been targeting of us?
Well, I think you're right. I think Villa didn't play that way, which played into our hands a little bit. Obviously, the first goal comes from trying to play out the back, you know, and teams like Brentford aren't doing that. But Real Madrid aren't going to just magically change the way they play, I don't think, because Arne Slot said this, that, you know, Real Madrid as a club, Xabi Alonso as a manager, are, in a way, it's like Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola is going to play the way he plays next Sunday. He's not going to go, we're just going to throw everything out the window to take long throw-ins because Liverpool have conceded a few from that. So what I'm getting at is the way these teams play, Liverpool can go toe-to-toe for them if they continue to do that. And with being at home at at Anfield at a Champions League night, Liverpool, there is a concern because Real Madrid are a really good team, but I think it will be a better football match in terms of the best set of players on the night will win, rather than the team who are happy to just lump it forward and hope for a second ball and a flick on a set piece goal.
I see that. I totally get that point. My thought is, you know, Brentford, it was a ball in behind Canate. Anyone can pick a lock out of that midfield that we've just mentioned, the Real Madrid. You imagine Kylian Mbappe or Vinicius Jr. in that spot. If Trent does play his switches in behind Conor Bradley, could be a problem. I'm just thinking, even though I do think Xabi Alonso, I think it'd be different if it was Ancelotti's Real Madrid, because obviously they play in a different way in terms of Xabi Alonso is on the ball a lot more. And in, the Champions League gone by under Ancelotti, Real Madrid are actually happy to not have the ball. And they'd sit deep, they'd nick a goal somewhere, and they'd, eventually go on and win the title anyway. But for me, I just think there's so many ways that Real Madrid could hurt us, and that's fine, because I reckon it's more of a chance if they do play nice football, that Liverpool can press them and get at them. But I am also aware that they have some unbelievable players on the pitch who can do things magical with a ball, which can unlock us. But we will get into the lineup then. I mean, Mamardashvili is obviously going to be the goalkeeper, so we've got nothing there. But I want to get your two fullbacks. Who are you going with? I mean, you only really have one choice at right back.
Unless you want to pick some balls like that.
No, not at the moment.
No. Bradley.
Bradley, Conor Bradley. I think the back four. I think I'll go Robertson again. If Robertson happy to go, I think he'll go Robertson again.
I think it makes the most sense.
Are you the same?
I think it makes the most sense, yeah.
Okay.
So I think the back four is the back four. Regarding any, obviously we're pre-recording this, so regarding any changes that we hear in the press conference, the Canate, Van Dijk, Robertson, I think.
I also think Bradley on the weekend probably had his best game all season. So that is a big positive for me.
Very important that he obviously didn't get booked against Frankfurt. Otherwise, there would have really been a Szoboszlai.
If he does get a booking today, he's then out of the PSV game, I think it is. But, we'll deal with that if it happens. Canate, if he plays, could play his 50th game in UEFA club competitions of his career. A little bit of knowledge, and he probably will start, let's be honest.
No, just on Canate, because I was just going to mention, I know it's different perspective and stuff, but yesterday when I was watching City versus Bournemouth went to the Etihad and played the most obscenely high line of all time. The line was so high. The line was so high. Haaland ran from inside his own half to be onside for the first goal.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm comparing it to this is Liverpool were obviously very high, say against Brentford. If you go high against Real Madrid, Mbappe and Vinicius have the pace where they'll time their runs, but they can time their runs
5 yards behind.
5 yards behind, because they'll be able to get in behind. So that is something that I think Slot's got to look at. Whether you drop slightly deeper, possibly just not enable those runs in behind, because as I say, if they do 4-4-2, Vinicius can play as a second striker as well. So that's something for me where Canate, look, again, I've criticised him a lot this season. I'm not sure his focus has totally been in it. Played a lot better at the weekend, and that is a position that I'm ultimately a bit concerned about, because I would like a slightly lower line, but then I'm questioning, because we don't do it, how capable is Slot kind of saying, right, do drop back a little bit. So that is a really key bit for me in terms of Canate and Van Dijk and the defensive line tomorrow.
Now, I will ask you for your midfield, Ben, just in case there's two different ones here. If you were to ask me before Aston Villa if McAllister should have been absolutely anywhere near a midfield three, I'd have told you absolutely not. However, like you said, he looked like a different player the other day when he played. His attitude was incredible. His passion was incredible. He was better on the ball. He was winning more tackles. So I've got to ask you the question. I think Gravenberch and Dom are too nailed on. Are you at all having McAllister or Florian Wirtz to start this game? Curtis Jones might be fit and available. Who knows? So you can throw him. You can do it if he is fit. I'll give you that. But for me, are you saying to Florian Wirtz, it's not your game, this Real Madrid Champions League?
No. I'm playing Florian Wirtz. Yeah, I think McAllister played really well on Saturday. I think the reality is, whether the manager says he is or not, you have to look at these two games as a collective grouping. And while McAllister did play well on Saturday, I think playing 3 games of that intensity in a week, I don't know if that's the best idea for him at the moment. I also do think it's potentially the type of game that suits the way that Florian Wirtz wants to play, because of the way that Real Madrid like to play through the lines. That again, they're not quite as physical as some of the teams that we played. I think that's been the major criticism of Florian Wirtz so far. He's too lightweight. he gets bullied off the ball. I mean, you look at the goal that Frankfurt scored when they went 1-0 up, and it comes from Wirtz being robbed pretty easily, close to their penalty area. They go down the other end and score. Now, I'm not saying that Real Madrid have nothing to them, but I'm just saying that in terms of what we talked about before about the both teams going toe-to-toe and wants to play their game, the technical aspect of this game very, very much may suit Florian Wirtz. And I think that even though McAllister did play well on Saturday, scored in this game last year, I think that going away to Man City and kind of the intensity of that game is a game that, like, at the moment, I would prefer Alexis McAllister to be fit and firing for. Let's see, because, ultimately, Wirtz came on Saturday, didn't cover himself in glory.
To be fair to the lad, we don't play long balls at all, and then he comes on the pitch and all of a sudden we're lumping a ball up to Florian Wirtz and saying good luck. I mean, that makes me laugh. I don't know what you want the lad to really do there, but I totally get where you're coming from with the McAllister thing. Are you the same, Chris, or would you change?
I think we're heading for the same 11, to be honest.
Right.
I think I know we almost feel like a bit of a broken record saying this is the Wirtz game, but I really do kind of think that this could be the game that really does ignite things for Wirtz. I don't think Real Madrid go out there and play with the most dedicated number 6 in the world. I think it's a similar kind of way to Gravenberch, where he's playing as a 6, playing as 6 amazingly, but we know he can play as an 8 as well. I don't think Real particularly have that dedicated anchor man as well. So I just wonder what that midfield is going to be like. And again, get the ball into him quickly, because I think it's a bit of a quicker game than McAllister will be ready for at the moment. I thought Villa was maybe a bit of a slower game, which is why he played. But yeah, Wirtz, get on the ball, get playing. And it's frustrating me a bit, the Wirtz situation, because the lad's been brought in for £100 million, and I'm just not convinced there's been an actual plan of how to use him properly. He's been played in several positions, not been played in his favoured role. Just get him in his favoured role, and also get him in the team, because if he is the future of Liverpool and he's not going to be, binned off next summer, then you've got to learn to play with him in the team, and he's got to get used to English football, the Champions League, of course, as well, in Liverpool's shirt. And again, I know we didn't have the greatest day at Anfield last year for Bayer Leverkusen, but we know the quality that he's got in Europe. So yeah, I'm absolutely thinking of him to come in, because I think he's also more likely to pick those locks, because Real Madrid do concede chances, and I think he's the most likely to kind of pick out those moments.
Yeah, I'm okay with Florian Wirtz starting. To be honest, it's a competition that he is, more aware of than the Premier League. Whether I think Slot will actually do it, it's a different thing. But we'll get on to the forwards. I think the forward line basically speaks for himself.
11. But then, would you play the same 11 for 3 times in just over a week? Is the only thing there.
Well, what are your alternatives?
Apart from Maka, but then.
So your other alternative is he's not done it yet, but
they had a midweek off, by the way.
I know.
So his other alternative, even though he's not done it, is you could look at Wirtz on the left if you don't want to play Gakpo.
This is what I mean about him not playing his favourite position.
So, personally, Wirtz to me at times maybe he is more of a forward than a midfielder. Maybe if Trent played, the kind of tricky player like Florian Wirtz is the right player to come up against him on the left. Gakpo to me, while he does get a goal, he doesn't offer enough. He doesn't do. Diaz, I think we're missing Diaz a lot in terms of, not necessarily his output wasn't always amazing in terms of goals and assists, but he could beat a man. My God, he could beat a man. He could go past somebody, and we're missing a little bit of that on the left, particularly because Salah isn't particularly doing it on the right either. He's lost that yard of pace at times. So for me, that's your only alternative, really, because Chiesa isn't going to get anywhere near it as much as sometimes we would like him to. He's not going to play in a game of this size. So really, the front three is the front three, unless you want to do anything that we've not seen all season. And
Alexander Isak will hopefully be available from the bench, and I think that would be nice to bring him on if he is fit and available. Right now we don't know that, and we'll listen to Slot later on. But I think the same. I think Ekitike's got to start. I think we struggled to get Ekitike in the game the other day against Villa. I literally was thinking, as he put the ball in the back of the net from an offside position, of course, I was like, he's not been in this game. Oh, there he is. So hopefully, we can get him more in between the lines and can feed him more.
He came on against United on the left as well, and he probably had the biggest impact when he made those subs against United. And he come on, he was able to run with the ball. And maybe he's another option, but that relies on Isak being fit, which he isn't, or he's certainly going to be fit from the start.
I want to see him get his confidence back as well. I just think he's on. I know he scored against Frankfurt, a bit of a barren spell from what he had been on.
I think the goal that he scored at the weekend might do a bit for his because it was a really good finish. It was half a yard offside. Like, it wasn't like a tight one, was it? They weren't getting out the line. I watched it on TV, and everybody could see straight away it's offside. But it's a really good header, and he doesn't know he's offside.
Yeah.
So hopefully that you keep going, you keep knocking at the door. Eventually, the goals will come, and again, like, he plays without fear. He comes on and he's happy to run at defences. He's happy to take a shot on from 35, 25, 30 yards. So these big games are the type of ones that could suit him because the occasion doesn't faze him.
No.
Ben, if Liverpool are going to win this game of football, what do they need to do? Where will the game be won and lost?
They need to be organised against very good individuals. They need a little bit of luck, probably, at the moment. And they need to take the chances when they come, because Liverpool have been scoring loads of goals and obviously letting more in than we would like. But I think, again, particularly like the game against Man United, in those big games, didn't take our chances. Chances against Real Madrid will come fewer and far between, and I need the likes of Salah, Gakpo, Ekitike when the chances come their way. Florian Wirtz missed a big chance early on at Brentford for me. Yep. They need to go in, because the reality is Real Madrid will create chances and probably will score tomorrow night. So Liverpool need to score at least 2.
Yeah.
Chris, where is the game going to be the most important? Because I speak about the midfield battle time and time again. I think you need to win the midfield battle to win a game of football. When you're up against who they can play in midfield, it's not always that simple. But who is going to be the most important for us to win this game of football?
I think, regarding the defensive focus that I said earlier, I think Van Dijk and Konate have got a really important job tomorrow. Look, Mbappe can take on a whole team on himself if he wants to. So him, of course, I just think their pace in the forward line is really quite terrifying when Mbappe and Vinicius get going. So that's something that I think the defensive solidarity has got to be there. I know we've already mentioned Szoboszlai, of course. You go through the whole team and just say everyone's important when you've got to play
individual battles. You need to win them.
Yeah. But no, I think the last 20 minutes against Villa really impressed me because of the control. And I know it won't be as straightforward here, but get control of the game, neutralise Real Madrid, and then look to take your opportunities. And I think given Real will always concede a chance or two, so I am going to look at Ekitike in terms of being that focal point, being the opportunity or that player that can take those chances. And yeah, I think because of various situations and stuff with work, and that, it's actually my first game of the season I'll be getting to tomorrow, so I'll be very much looking forward to seeing him in flesh for the first time this season, and I'm really excited to hopefully see him gobble up some chances.
Let's hope so. I'm going to ask for your score predictions and your goal scorers, but I'll give you a minute to have a think about that whilst I give you some stats. Liverpool and Real Madrid are the only pair of teams to have faced each other in 3 finals of this competition, obviously in 1981, 2018 and 2022. Salah needs 2 more goals to become the first African to score 50 times in the Champions League. Salah is set to play his 200th game at Anfield for the Reds. He currently has 137 goals at home for the club. Finally, this is the 10th time in the last 11 European campaigns that the Reds have faced a Spanish opposition, and the 6th Champions League season in a row that they have met a team from Madrid, which is ridiculous and absolutely silly. Whilst they're still thinking about score predictions, get yours in the comments. Do hit the like button as well. I'm going to tell you some of the other games that are happening in the Champions League. Arsenal face Slavia Praga, because of course they do. We obviously play Real Madrid. We've got PSG v Bayern, which is the most tasty one. But sadly, it's on at the same time as us. So... yeah, a bit crap. Juve also play Sporting tomorrow. Manchester City face Dortmund on Wednesday night. Chelsea play Karabag, so you can kind of rule that out. Newcastle face Atleti Club. And Marseille v Atalanta, if you think that scores on Wednesday as well. So yeah, not loads of really exciting games, but the big one is obviously Liverpool v Real Madrid, and let's hope we can come out on top. Ben, give us your score prediction and your scorers.
3-2 to Liverpool.
I do enjoy it.
Yeah. There's going to be goals. Because...
Don't tell me it's a last-minute winner, though, because I'm not sure my heart can deal with it.
I don't know. I didn't know you wanted the times as well.
Well, you know. You've gave me a 3-2. When's the winning goal?
Salah 6, Mbappe 13. I think Salah loves these big games. Obviously, missed a penalty last season, didn't he?
Yeah.
Did he score last season? No, he didn't, did he? McAllister. But, you know, these big Champions League games are what he lives for. I think he'll want to have a say. Let's have Florian Wirtz. I've put him in.
I like
that.
And third goal... maybe we'll get a goal from the set piece. Maybe, we scored a couple against Frankfurt, didn't we? So, maybe Van Dijk will crop up with one.
To be fair, though, they had some lad who just didn't want to defend at that time. Pretty sure Real Madrid will probably want to defend.
I don't know if it'll be a last-minute winner, but I think it could be maybe a nervy one where we're like 3-1 up and then they get a goal or something like that. Like, I think, you know what I mean?
That might kill me off.
Yeah.
Don't lie.
But I just think the reality is Liverpool score goals and they can see goals, and I don't necessarily think that overall trend, if you take Saturday out of it, is going to book here. I think there's going to be a few in this.
I do too. Go on, Chris.
I don't really want to go 3-2 because I don't want. We've already chosen the same team. I don't want to go same prediction. But
great minds.
I think there will absolutely be goals in it. I will go. I'll go slightly less, just so I'm got to him. I'll go 2-1. I'll go come from behind, and I'll say goals from Ekatike and Wirtz.
Gladly, I am the host of the show, so I don't have to pick a score prediction. If I did it'd probably be a 4-4 or something absolutely ridiculous, because I don't see Liverpool keeping a clean sheet in this game.
Did you see, on the subject of 4-4, I'm going to say this because Fabinho was involved. He got sent off the other day for Al Ittihad, and they went 4-0 down and drew it 4-4.
Wow. I wouldn't quite enjoy that.
No.
That would be testing me at 4-0 down to Real Madrid. I won't lie to you. So please, Liverpool, let's not do that. But I'm not sure Aston Villa was the greatest. It's a one game, so it's not much of a sample for me to tell you that Liverpool are over their bad form, and Real Madrid scare the living daylights out of me. But it is at Anfield. I will be there. I will be booing Trent if he ever makes it on the pitch, and I will be booing every other player who is in a Real Madrid shirt as well. So, I'm hoping that the atmosphere is going to be, the man of the match and help Liverpool get over the line. Hopefully it can be a special night under the lights at Anfield. Before I do go, just would like to let you know, Halloween is over, thank God, cannot stand it. But Christmas, it's now the lead up to Christmas. I'm not asked what you used to say. Are you Christmas fans?
November the 1st, it is what it is. Like, from a commercial and marketing aspect, you're in the Christmas mode.
I am about to do some commercial marketing, but I am also a very Christmassy person. So, big fan of Christmas once it's November. Our Xmas jumpers are on sale, but they are absolutely selling out quickly. So if you do want that, go to redmanmerch.com and go and get yours. But thank you so much for joining us. Have a lovely rest of your Monday. And let's hope the Reds beat Real Madrid and take 3 points away in the next Champions League game. See you then.